slam your hands on the steering wheel. Rain's hammering the windshield. Your wipers screech. You're late. You've got this. But then, bam, your world flips sideways, metal crunches, everything goes dark. That's where his story begins. Meet Tom Saunders, average guy, regular job, 2 kids, pepperoni Fridays, and bikes that need repairing. Not exactly the poster child for divine encounters, but on a wet Thursday night, Tom's Dodge derailed off a bridge and landed upside down in a creek. EMTs said he shouldn't have survived, but he did. And what he saw next, it's gonna break your brain. Tom tells me he's floating, not his body, just expanding, screaming with pain, but not feeling it. He sees his crushed car reflected in the water. Then he hears a voice, not a whisper, soft but with authority. Tom, I've been waiting. He peeks through closed eyes, a silhouette by the creek bank, darker than night but brighter than moonlight. He blinks and suddenly, he's standing in tall grass, all around him, perfect stillness. He feels peace, complete. He looks down at his own hands. No broken bones, no pain, just warm, glowing life. Then comes a figure, tall, bright, golden edges around his silhouette. Tom recognizes the cloak then, a simple cloak, timeless, no beard, no halo. But he knows it's the one, the presence he always thought was a metaphor. He's face to face with his idea of God. Before you roll your eyes tempting, I want you to ask yourself a question. Why claim an encounter like this? No money, no fame, nothing except a story that could get him labeled crazy. Yet Tom stuck to his story, and here's where it gets even weirder. Tom says God didn't preach, no chains of lives saved or hell threats. Instead, he listened, understanding. He asked about Tom, his kids, his divorce, his job. When Tom cried, God cried. Not metaphorically. Tom literally says he witnessed tears, light tears. There was no sermon, no commandments, just a conversation. A man standing in grass with divine presence, drenched in golden light, with no clue how long he'd been there. Until God said, "You must go back." Tom insisted, "But I'm not ready. I need more time." God responded, "You will have all your time, but you will go back and you will live." In the story, Tom steps back into his crumpled body. Pain floods back like a tidal wave. EMT admonishments, hospital beds, frequent hauntings. But what really rattled him wasn't back pain. It was living again, not just existing, but actually living. Now, I don't want you thinking this is just Tom and his vivid imagination. Stick with me. I've got more. There's a woman in Peru, Carla. She had a near-death experience after a bus crash. She saw God as a warm presence wearing splintered wood, speaking in laughter. She came back and changed her entire life. Left a CEO job, opened an orphanage, not a marketing scheme, just pure transformation. And then there's Bishop Jensen in the US. He says he met God during his cancer battle, just as a full silhouette. Voice of thunder, not lightning Phil. Came back preaching radical forgiveness. Closed his megachurch in Chicago because, in his words, God said we serve neighbors, not expenses. Why share these? Because they echo Tom, not exactly the same, but from darkness they emerge into clarity. Doesn't matter if God appeared as light or sound or warmth, they all came back saying, life matters, love matters, you matter. Back to Tom. He tells me about the first Christmas after the accident. He said grace by candlelight. Usually kids fidget. This year they didn't, just silence. He saw his daughter's face glow, and he knew he was here for a reason. He didn't launch a global movement, no God before YouTube channel. He's a mechanic again, a regular guy, but one who pauses now. He picks up his kids at school, he helps in the soup kitchen, he listens, like he's living with a deadline, because he is. And yes, I hear the skepticism. Where's the proof? You want photos, heart scans, soul drafts? Not happening. All we've got are words, but that's often enough. Stories shape us. This one shakes us. Because here's the thing, we chase adrenaline, scores, likes, money, travel, status. But once you peek behind the curtain, even at the worst moment, nothing looks the same again. Fear shrinks, gratitude stretches. Think about the last time you almost lost something big, a job, a health scare, a relationship. How you felt when you came back. Nothing small again, right? That's the core of this. What the crash gave Tom was not just second chances, but firsts. For his kids, for his heart, for his life. So here's the cliffhanger. Tom isn't done. He's battling back pain and flashbacks, still questioning if he misheard. But most nights when he turns off the lights, he hears one thing as he drifts off. Remember why you came back? Then he breathes and closes his eyes. But here's where things get extra weird. After the accident, Tom started seeing things, not like ghostly figures floating above his cereal or anything, more like nudges, coincidences that stack too perfectly, messages hidden in mundane moments, a song playing exactly when he needed it, a total stranger at a gas station saying, "You're on the right path," before walking off and vanishing into a crowd. Who does that? At first he thought he was losing it. PTSD, brain fog, maybe a side effect of dying for 6 minutes. But the signs kept showing up. Numbers, symbols, a recurring dream of standing at the edge of a cliff, not afraid, just waiting. And here's the kicker. He started dreaming of the same field, same tall grass, same warm light. But this time, God didn't speak, just stood there, silent, watching. One night, Tom woke up mid-dream with a jolt and 3 words on his tongue: "Wake them up." No clue who them was, not his kids, not his co-workers, but the phrase stuck like gum on a shoe. So Tom did something completely out of character. He started writing. Not blogs, not books, just sticky notes, dozens of them, on mirrors, on lunchboxes, on car dashboards. They read, "You're not alone. Love first. Stop rushing. Listen. Wake them up." He started leaving them in random places, grocery store shelves, park benches, gas pumps. He didn't sign them, just left them, like spiritual breadcrumbs. At first he thought no one would notice, until someone did. A teenage girl found one on a city bus. She was on her way to a bridge, a real one. You know what I mean. She said the note stopped her. "I felt like someone saw me," she wrote in a Reddit thread that went unexpectedly viral. Another woman found one taped to her steering wheel at a rest stop. She posted, "I didn't know what I needed until I saw it." Hundreds of comments, shares. And the weird part? No one knew it was Tom. Still doesn't. He never claimed the credit, never tracked the posts. He just kept leaving notes. He said the act itself was part of the healing. He felt lighter, less haunted. Like maybe, just maybe, he was doing what he came back to do. Now let's get really uncomfortable. There's a psychology professor in Toronto, Dr. Elise Park. She studied hundreds of near-death accounts. She noticed something odd. Many report this task, like God gives them homework, a mission. But it's always vague, no instructions, no blueprint, just help people, be love, or Tom's version, wake them up. Which raises a terrifying thought. What if we're all being told something, but we're just too distracted to hear it? Think about it. How often do we silence that inner nudge because there's a TikTok playing or an Uber Eats alert popping up? What if all those coincidences you ignored were actually signs you were supposed to see? Yeah, that one stings a little. Let me give you another real case. This one will wreck you. Back in 2009, there was a guy named Marcus Blake, small-town firefighter, lost his wife in a drunk driving crash. 6 months later, his truck spun off the highway in a blizzard. They found him face down, frozen, no pulse, dead for 11 minutes. He came back, but not the same. He said he didn't see tunnels or angels. He heard music he'd never heard before. And when he tried to replicate it on piano afterward, he could. He'd never played before in his life. He started writing symphonies, and every single one dedicated to his wife. He said, "I didn't come back with answers. I came back with memory of a sound I never want to forget. His town rallied. His grief turned into inspiration, concerts, fundraisers, a foundation in his wife's name. All because, in his words, I heard something divine and I refused to let it go. So no, these stories aren't about burning bushes or thunderbolts from the sky. They're about tiny alarms, moments that shake people awake. And the people who listen, they change everything. Tom once said, "I think God meets you in the language you understand." That hit me. Some see glowing figures, others hear laughter, some return with music in their bones. Maybe God doesn't wear a robe or carry a staff. Maybe he just speaks through whatever will shake you out of your numbness. For Tom, it was a crash. For Marcus, it was a song. For others, it might be silence so loud it echoes. But here's the thing, the message is always the same. Wake up, you're here, make it count. Now let me yank this story back into your life. Ever feel like something's trying to get your attention? That gut feeling, that recurring number you keep seeing? That moment when you almost said no, but something whispered, go anyway? You might think it's nothing, but if these stories teach us anything, it's this. Those tiny moments might be the only things that actually matter. So don't wait for a crash. Don't wait for the universe to knock you unconscious. You've already been warned, gently, maybe even lovingly. Don't ignore the signs, because what follows you home might be exactly what you need. So here we are, back to where we started, with a man, a crash, and a claim that sounds insane until you actually listen. Let me tell you something Tom told his therapist. He said, "It wasn't just that I met God, it's that God knew me. Not just my name, my mess, my doubts, my worst thoughts, and didn't flinch." Imagine being seen that deeply. Imagine all the stuff you try to hide, your petty jealousies, your secret fears, your weird 2 a.m. Google searches, being known, and instead of judgment, you get compassion. That changes you. Whether you believe in divine beings or just believe in better humans, that kind of moment doesn't leave you the same. Now here's where things go from profound to wildly uncomfortable. Tom didn't want fame. He didn't want to sell books or do TED Talks, but his story leaked. A neighbor he confided in posted the sticky note thing online. It went viral. Podcasts reached out, churches, a Netflix producer called. You know what Tom said? "No thanks, I already delivered the message. I'm not the message, I'm just the guy who heard it." Mic drop. But we, as humans, hate that answer. We want the documentary, the exclusive sit-down, the 10-part miniseries. We want proof. So people dug. They pulled his hospital records, confirmed the 6-minute flatline, interviewed the paramedics. His story checked out. But here's the part that broke my brain. One of the paramedics off the record said Tom had no pulse, no breath, full CPR protocol for 6 straight minutes. Then suddenly he gasped, sat up and said, "Tell her I forgive her." "Her who?" they asked. Tom didn't answer, just smiled and passed back out. Weeks later, when he was conscious, they asked again. He said, "My mom." Turns out Tom had been estranged from her for 12 years. She'd kicked him out as a teen. They hadn't spoken since. But after the crash, he called her. No blame, no anger, just love. They reunited. She died 2 months later from pancreatic cancer. Tell me that's not something out of a movie. Tell me that's not divine timing with a hint of cosmic micromanagement. And here's the thing. This doesn't make Tom a saint. He still gets road rage. He still microwaves fish at work, allegedly. He's a human. But now he pays attention. He told a small group in a community center talk, not a TED Talk, chill, that the main thing he learned wasn't about God or death or even purpose. It was this: you already have everything you're looking for. You're just not looking at it. Ugh, goosebumps. So what do we do with this? Do we all jump into traffic and hope to meet the Almighty in a burst of airbags and glass shards? Obviously not. But maybe we start listening to the pauses between our thoughts, to the subtle nudges, to the moment when your gut says, call your brother, or turn left instead, or take the umbrella, and you don't ignore it. Maybe you stop scrolling past those odd little coincidences and start asking, what am I supposed to notice here? Because here's the twist. These experiences aren't rare. They're just ignored. People are waking up in hospital beds saying they floated above themselves. Kids describing details they shouldn't know. Soldiers seeing light during surgeries. Atheists coming back from comas saying, I felt loved in a way I can't explain. Science? Sure, the brain is wild. But if it's just chemicals, why do they all come back kinder? Why do they write symphonies, leave sticky notes, hug people more? Why do they change their whole lives for a thing that can't be proven, but felt more real than gravity? Tom said, that world is the real one. This one's just loud. So maybe life isn't about becoming something. Maybe it's about remembering what you already are. Maybe, just maybe, the divine isn't waiting for you in a cathedral or on a mountain. Maybe it's that stranger who held the door when you were sobbing on a Wednesday. Maybe it's your kid laughing in their sleep. Maybe it's you choosing to forgive someone who'll never say sorry. And if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Not kidding. You're watching this for a reason. Maybe not because you died, but because something in you did. A dream, a hope, a belief. And it's time to wake it back up. Tom doesn't claim to be a prophet. He doesn't want followers. He just wants you to notice the field, the warmth, the music, whatever it is that shows up when the noise stops. Because something will follow you home. Maybe it's fear, or maybe it's grace. And maybe that's the whole point. Not to escape life, but to remember how to live it like you were sent here on purpose. Because you were.